Do you know how much can be learned from nature? Well, the answer to this is a lot. I don't know whether or not you have seen them. But we had once made a video on eagle, and once we also had made a video on lion. And we had talked about how much can be learnt from an eagle. And how much can be learned even from a lion. An eagle is the king of birds, while a lion is the king of the jungle. While both of them are huge creatures, in today's video, we'll talk about a small creature, a small ant. That so much can be learnt from a little ant. And the lessons that I'm gonna teach you, after applying those, you can change your life. If you don't believe it, do watch this entire video, and then you'd believe. First lesson, ants teach us to ignore distractions, or should I say, avoid distractions. I don't know how many of you have done this, but I did do it a lot in my childhood, and I hope that you too did it. That when an ant is walking, we place our finger in its path. When we do so, what does the ant do? It stops, and then goes ahead from beside the finger. And when it goes ahead, we again place our finger in its path. It again stops and passes from the side. If it's going somewhere, then no matter how many times you block it with your hand/finger, it won't climb the finger, and neither will it stop. No matter how many times you do this thing. And from this, we get a big lesson that when you are on your path towards your goal, then no matter what distractions block you, don't pay attention to them. Stop and pass from the side. Or if you're doing any important work and something distracts you, then avoid/ignore that distraction and keep walking on your path. Second lesson, ants are great planners. Ants work very hard in the summer season. They store food, which is many times the food that they actually require. Because they know that when it rains, or when it's very cold, they won't be able to store food. So, they store food for themselves. Beforehand only, because they know in advance that there'll be a crisis. So in any case, we must have food and water with us. Ants have such a trait, but humans don't have any such trait. I've seen many people who don't even know about their next day, the next week, next month. These are long shots. They don't even have the next day planned, on what they'll do next day. That is how ants teach us to adapt to our surroundings. You'll find ants everywhere, in your house, outside your house, on the roof, in food, on trees, in jungles, everywhere you will find ants. They're never like I won't stay here because there are a lot of difficulties here. There are difficulties, but according to those difficulties, they adapt themselves. And from this, we learn that there are many things in life, which we won't get. So learn to adapt yourself to what you have right now. Or whatever you want to do in life. If for that you feel I don't have this, so I'm not able to do this, then you've to see what you have, what's your condition. And you'd have to adapt to those conditions and move ahead. Lesson number 4. Ants are strong and hardworking. You might have noticed that ants lift weights that are much heavier than themselves. And if we talk about humans, then a human, at max, can lift a weight 1.5x his weight, but an ant can lift 50x of its own weight. An ant can say no, if they wish, to lift a morsel 10x its weight. But they don't. They lift 20x, 30x, and sometimes even 50x their own weight. And sometimes the weight is even more, which though it can't lift, it definitely tries. You must have seen many times that the morsel is so big that the ant fails to lift it. It's not even possible for it to lift it, but it keeps trying and doesn't give up. Okay, let's assume this. That ants have a natural power to lift things 20x or 50x their weight. We humans don't have this natural power. But the hard work, it's in our hands. That depends on us how much hard work we can put in. The courage too is in our hands, that is how much courage we can show. If you look at ants anytime, they are doing something or the other. Be it running here, running there, climbing walls, walking with a morsel. You won't find them sitting idle because of the level of their hard work is so high that no one can beat them. This we talked about 4th lesson. Now we'll talk about the 5th lesson, the spirit of sharing. The spirit of sharing in ants would be hard to find in someone else. Be it knowledge or food, ants share it with very open and big hearts. You'll never see a single ant sitting alone and eating something. And if we talk about knowledge sharing, then ants leave behind a chemical, so that the ants that follow it, by smelling that chemical, can move ahead. If the ant doesn't leave that chemical behind, all ants will get scattered. But no, every ant desires that every single ant walks the path of success and reaches the food. Now we will talk about the 6th lesson, amazing sense of discipline. How important discipline and consistency are for success. There's no need for me to tell that to all of you. And this discipline is in abundance in ants. Whenever ants are walking in a line, they never break the line, no ant comes out of the line. No matter how much weight they're carrying, or how long the road is. If they're climbing a tree, no matter how tall it is, they never come out of the line. No matter how much burden they have. Anytime you see, there won't be any ant who'd break the line and go separate. This never happens. And this is what we call discipline, which should be learned from ants by every human. Lesson number 7. Ants have incredible speed. I won't talk about red ants here. But the small black ants, their speed is just amazing. They might be tiny, but they never consider their own speed to be less. And this is a big lesson for people who are lazy and sit idle, and are not able to focus on work, or those who work very slowly. Ants never do anything for themselves, like we first talked about. That their sharing spirit is amazing. Similarly, they never do for themselves. Whatever they do, it is for all ants. And every ant works in unity for all ants. You might have many times even noticed this thing, that if one ant is not able to lift some big object/insect. And to see more such life-changing videos, subscribe and press the bell icon. I'll meet you in the next video.